Well, I guess the only way to start this is to just start it. Hi, my name's Caroline, and this is my YouTube channel, I guess, or what I'm hoping will become a YouTube channel that people want to watch. Red Dust Creations is me and all of my hobbies. I'm going to show you my craft room in a little bit, and then you might understand why I laugh. But I have autoimmune diseases and multiple chronic illnesses. At the moment, I've got my good old TENS machine going, trying to relax the tail end of the flare that I had this past week, which made everything a little bit difficult. You might see that this is a scar from the removal of two basal cell carcinomas that were misdiagnosed for 5 to 6 years, resulting in a serious surgery there. And then I've got another line that's not quite as obvious here. That was yet another one. I'm very fair-skinned. I avoid the sun like the plague. But this is what my family likes to call my warning light, my check engine light. So usually it's just a sign that, things are not as great as they could be. But I think it's just sort of the end of the flare, the fact that I've got the TENS machine going and my body's like, oh, okay, we're doing this. So the start of this year, I suppose the end of last year, I quit my job as a teacher. I had been a school teacher, so primary, secondary, and then I'd also done some kindergarten teaching, 12 or 13 years of it, but I'd been teaching all up for 21 years. I went straight from kindergarten to primary school to high school to university, straight into the workforce teaching. Never left school. But at the end of last year, I was in a toxic work environment that wasn't healthy for me, was making all of my chronicness more chronic. So I quit. I was living in teacher housing, which happens in remote Australia. I live in the middle of outback northwest Queensland with not much around me. So the fact that I quit my job meant that I had to move and I had to find a new job so that I could afford to move because I'd spent 3 years here in my small town, building connections, putting down roots, and I didn't want to leave the town. I just couldn't stay in the toxic work environment. So I went to see our daycare, who were looking for a qualified early childhood teacher so that they would be able to access, or they and our community would be able to access the free kindy program offered through the Queensland government. We came to an agreement there that I would work 4 days a week, so one less than full-time, and be in charge of the kindy program, working with the kids in that age group on the other days when it's not the official kindy program. So that was one thing ticked off. I had a job to go to in the new year. And leaving teaching, I had a whole lot of long service leave that I had never used that got paid out. And I'm not really... I wish that I'd been able to take it and use it and make the most of it, but also having it as a cash buffer at the moment has given me that little sense of security that I think I needed to make this huge big change. So that was a job sorted. I then needed to find somewhere to live. So I looked around town. Rentals were well out of my reach. Teacher housing is heavily subsidised, so normal rent, and particularly in our country town, tends to actually be really expensive because it's so limited. But I had my 4-wheel drive motorhome, so Robin of Loxley. He is a wonderful option. He helped me get up here in the first place. I bought him during COVID because normal travel wasn't happening. So I was prepared to live in him if I needed to. I had friends who were willing to store goods and had offered me a backyard. So that was like option A. Option B was that there was a little old house across the road that was for sale and had been on the market for over 18 months or so. knew the person who was selling it and that they were at that point where they were ready to let it go. Did some research because I knew it would need some work immediately, restumping because it's never been properly restumped. It's one of the oldest houses in town, and she's a beautiful old lady. I love her. But restumping is expensive with steel prices at the moment, something I know all too well. But the owner and I were able to come to an agreement, which made it all possible. And then suddenly I was applying for a home loan, and then I had a home loan and I had a house. And I do have an investment property down in Victoria where I moved from initially to come to Queensland. However, I've never lived there. So I've never had a house that's just been mine. A place that I can live, that I can put things up on the walls wherever I want to, paint things, change things, whatever. But mine. So then I had a job and I had a house. But I'd also been offered a third option by the community who were they were brainstorming themselves, how do we keep Caroline here? And after what I'd been through at work, that was just such an amazing thing to know that although work was not a great place and might not have valued me the way I should have been valued or treated me the way I should have been treated, the community valued me. And like I've taught in small communities for the majority of my teaching career, so that just hit me in the feels. So suddenly I had a new job to go to. I had a house that I had to move into as quickly as possible. I was only across the road, but it turns out that moving across the road is just as difficult, if not more so, than moving elsewhere. But yeah, so that's sort of a summary of me, I guess, and what's happened to me in the last little while. But the room that is the focus of Red Dust Creations, when my chronicness isn't chronicking and my autoimmuning isn't autoimmuning, I can do what I need to do when I need to do it, and get things happening, I hope. But at the moment, it kind of looks a bit like a dragon hoard, because I am what I have heard referred to on the internet as a hobby hoe. Someone who just loves learning new hobbies, collecting new hobbies, doing new hobbies, and then jumping to a new one. But it means that I have so much craft and art and making and growing supplies that I need to start doing things with, because I know that with my chronic things going on with my body, etc., I'm not going to be able to keep working forever. Less than forever. Even though the 4 days a week and having a 3-day recovery period has been amazing, it's not going to last forever. Eventually, this load of medication will stop working, and then I'll have to try another one and another one until there are no more left. I'm hoping that there will be heaps of discoveries in my particular diseases and conditions in the next little while. But until then, I need to try and do something with my hoard of hobbies. So a recent acquisition, like in the last 6 months, less than, has been a 3D printer. But it has been a godsend, because when my rheumatoid arthritis has made it impossible for me to do anything with my hands, I've still been able to create, to see things being made. And so for the impact it's had on my mental health and things, it's been worth its weight in gold. So yeah, so this is Q. This is my 3D printer. He's from Bamboo Labs. He's a P1S. And buying a 3D printer has also, unfortunately, unlocked another hobby, which is collecting all of the beautifully coloured filaments. And after creating a colour chart using little calibration caps, they're stackable, and I did one in every colour, turns out I've got 75 different colours of filament. So I really need to do something with that to justify the purchase of all the pretty things. Okay. So this is mostly the 3D printing corner, but it's not all the 3D printing stuff. There is also, this is the door to outside. And as I said, my house, she is a lovely little old lady, but she's got some needs. So she's going to need some reflooring eventually. Some this and some thatting. But that's okay. So then we've got same corner, and then we go around a little bit further, and we find, oh look, there's more storage. And 1, 2, 3 tubs of filament, 5 rolls each. And then some more tubs of filament, 5 rolls each. And under there is a desk, and I'll go 2 more tubs of filament. And a whole lot, and under here, a whole lot of supplies to do with watercolour. I fell in love with watercolour during COVID, and it was something that really helped keep me sane during that time. But again, it relies on my hands to be functional. So I haven't done it for a while, and I really want to get back into that. We also have storage. It's fairly empty at the moment. That came from school. That was stuff I'd purchased to use at school, and has come from there when I resigned at the end of last year. And we're still kind of fighting with ourselves over that, because if we keep going, I have this gorgeous storage that came out of one of the old original buildings here in Richmond. And based upon the gorgeous handles, pretty sure, apologise for the terrible filming, but I kind of have to use a grip to hold my phone. Rheumatoid arthritis, it's a thing. I will work up on my skills, work on building my skills, but for now, it's what I have. So yeah, there's this gorgeous storage shelves, and then underneath it there are drawers, and the drawers have gorgeous handles on them. And I know the previous owner of these drawers, and they bought them secondhand for storage in their clothing and drapery shop back in the 60s, and they were secondhand then. So I love the history that goes with them. But as you can see, there's a lot in here, and we go all the way down to the end there, and you can see some giant tubs that are full of felt. I also love hand sewing little toys and beautiful things out of felt. However, obviously that requires my hands to be functional as well. So I have a lot of felt and all of the things to sew and embroider and make beautiful, gorgeous things. But at the moment, I don't have the bodily capability. I also have 2 or 3 drawers deep full of macrame cord. I love macrame as well. It's gorgeous. I love the way that you can use it to create things that are as big as, the wall of a room to something as small as that you can hold in your hand. I love that about macrame. I also have a cricket maker trapped in here somewhere, along with all the vinyl that goes with it. I have a weaving loom, a big one that needs to be unboxed, a lot of small ones, and all the wool that I bought on one trip to Townsville because I was purchasing my feelings, because a friend had just gone through the death of her mother, and apparently that's how I coped, based upon the amount of wool that I bought. But it is all beautiful wool, and very particular. It had to feel nice when I bought it. So yeah, there's all the vinyl stuff. There's all my teaching supplies in here still. There's things for, literally almost any hobby you can think of. Polymer clay. That was also another thing that I slightly got obsessed with during COVID. In Victoria, we had fairly strict lockdowns, so there was plenty of time to get addicted to different hobbies. So my goal is that this room, which is mostly storage at the moment, okay, but it is going to turn into home base for Red Dust Creations. And a fresh beginning, I guess, again, for me, going, okay, these are limitations that exist for me on my body right now, but what can I do? So my goal is to try not to focus too much on what I can't do, and instead try and figure out what I can do. And I've got friends who are willing to help me to do that and to help me work through it, but also to help me go, hey, slow down. You're trying to do too much, you're going to flare. And I've just had a nasty flare for a week, which has reminded me how painful that can be. So hopefully, now that it's eased off, I can slowly take some baby steps back into making and creating and painting and growing. Oh, another thing that's not quite in this room is the collection of indoor plants that I have gathered. Majority of them just through propagation, so cuttings from friends, buying plants from Bunnings and then creating cuttings. So we do have community markets up here. We have stalls sometimes at different race meets and things like that. But I'm hoping to be able to use some of the things that I have to create something that might make the future look a little less terrifying. Okay. So I guess I'll explain what I mean by terrifying later, maybe? I don't know. But this is just, this is my starting point. There's a long way to go, and I know that, in all areas of everything. But, yeah, it's been less than 6 months in the house. It has been restumped, so yay, that's a win. And now it's just time to see if I can't build Red Dust Creations. You can find me on YouTube and on Instagram at the moment, into something that will work for my future. But yeah, this is me. Hi. I'd love to meet some of you, and I hope that you can like and subscribe. You will get random other videos on this channel as well. This is just my life, okay? And the other stuff impacts my life more than I'd like to say, in both good and bad ways. But you'll see it, and you'll be like, oh, okay, interesting. But it's part of my channel. It's part of my life. But yeah, I hope that other people might find this journey interesting, inspiring. Maybe they're just curious as to whether I can sort my shit out. I don't know. But this is the start of it. And I hope that there is a lot more to come. So yeah. Welcome to Red Dust Creations. There will be no there will be no editing of my videos. I don't have the capability of using a computer for that long, and part of me is all about living in the moment as is, scars and all. So what you see is what you get. The good, the bad, the otherwise. There will be no blooper reel. It will be part of the real thing, because that's how life works. Have a great day. Bye.